So it kind of cracked the ice, and it was a little bit of a, you know, kind of tongue in cheek. The fact of the matter is, seller agreed to it, and off we went. But I had to break the ice somehow because it was kind of shocking. But anyway, I'm glad she found it funny.
That's hilarious.
Morning, guys. Ryan, morning. Jim, good morning. So, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, mind you, I've already pressed recording. So this meeting is being recorded for future reference. So, just to let you guys know. So we have a couple more guys. I think was trying to trickle in. We'll give them a few minutes, but we can start. You guys could introduce yourselves and whatnot, and without further ado, you may take it away.
Awesome. My name is Ryan Dybevik. I'm local to the Twin City market here. I've known Randy for many, many years, and then I brought on Jim here, Jim Krautkremer, right, Jim? We both
Yeah, it's
have
pretty
wonderful,
close. Yeah.
wonderful last names. So I've known Jim for many, many years. He's a good friend and real estate mentor of mine over the years, and he has introduced me to this new and emerging short sale strategy, I guess, if you will, that we're going to be briefly talking through today. There's Randy popping on the video. I don't know if he can hear us yet, but anybody, if you can put your videos on, I would love it because we can have a little bit more interaction. So I'm just going to dive right into what we're doing, what we know, and then Jim's just going to jump in and interject as we go. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt and just say, like, what are you guys doing? I I've got a little bribe for you that if you turn on your videos, if you're able to, and you're not in the bathroom or whatever, I have a shameless plug and a bribe for you at the end. I've got the secret sauce I will give you. But it's a secret.
Yeah, this is a relationship business, and we all like to get to know each other. So what the heck? Doesn't matter if you got your hair done yet or didn't shave or whatever the case is. Hello.
I shaved my head this morning just for this call.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice. We
impressive.
like
I
having the
know.
cameras on, especially if something weird's going on back there. Why not?
So, short sales, Randy and I worked in the past, like, oh, five, six, seven, eight, around there, short sales before it started going heavy into bank-owned REOs.
Yeah.
And we were doing a ton of short sales before anybody even knew what they were. I remember bringing it up to a couple agents, and they're like, "What are you talking about? The market's great. It's going well. Short sales, isn't that something to do with like stocks?" So, um, we've got a lot of history, a lot of experience doing short sales. Haven't touched them basically since like 2011, probably 2012, when the market's been going up since then. Really been dreading going back to them. I see the writing on the wall. They're coming back like crazy. So if you don't know what short sales are, real quick, they're just properties that are underwater, right? And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and more explanation, like what qualifies for a short sale, what they are. But basically, you owe too much on the property and you can't make the payments, and there's not enough equity to sell. I say little to no equity. I've been running reports, and there's a lot of people that have 85 to 90% loan to value. And to me, there's no equity there. So if they start going late, if somebody loses their job, gets sick, has to move, whatever, that 10 to 15% in supposed equity gets eaten up real quick, especially in a market that's soft like ours, where um, you got the real estate closing costs, commissions, and that 10-15% gets eaten away very quickly. So just be aware they are out there. We're working with folks nationwide, and we are seeing a ton of them start to roll in. So people are in trouble, and this is just a good idea to get way ahead of it. So that's what short sales are. That's kind of why short sales, because a lot of agents, a lot of people just aren't busy right now. And quite honestly, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. there's a ton of opportunity out there with short sales. There's like what I just kind of talked about, and we can talk
Hey,
a
Ryan,
little
can I
bit.
talk about the forbearance thing for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah, yeah, you got that right. It's huge. And by the way, the chat is on. If you have a question or something, feel free to fire it in there, and I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll be sure to answer all your questions. We want this interactive. This isn't some presentation. We want this as interactive as possible. Forbearance is a term that's getting thrown around, and quite honestly, it's a term in real estate that we didn't use it for, man, been at this craziness for 23 years. I think it was 22 and a half years that I never saw that term. So what is forbearance? So during the pandemic, what had happened, and if any of you are experts and you know more about this, please feel free to chime in. I'm going to go off of what I currently know what's going on. During the pandemic time, there was all this, you saw these trillions and trillions and $1 trillion bills that kept getting approved. We're like, where's all this money going? Well, part of that money was going to the banks in order to help folks that weren't able to work and they weren't able to make their payments. So they structured this thing called forbearance where a homeowner could reach out to their bank and say, hey, listen, I'm going through some tough times here. I'm not going to be able to work for X number of months, whatever that is. And I don't want to get dinged. I don't want my credit to get dinged. I can't make my payments. I don't want you to foreclose on me. And that's what they called forbearance. So they kind of forgave the fact that they're making payments and didn't penalize them for X amount of time. Now, all the banks operate differently. They all have their different rules. And so the banks would reach out to the homeowner and then they would make those arrangements. Well, that time is coming to an end, literally as we speak, within the last couple of months. And the banks have the choice on how they're going to deal with forbearance. There's a whole bunch of ways that they can do it. And what they're showing us is there's a bunch of ways that they are doing it. They're doing a loan modification. They're tacking the payments on the back end of the loan. They are increasing their monthly payment to the homeowner. I want you to think about that for 1 second. Put this perspective on. That homeowner was going through a time where they couldn't make their payments because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And now their payments are going up. We know most homeowners are pretty stretched anyway. So they might just increase their payments. And in a lot of circumstances, the bank is asking for a balloon payment. What's a balloon payment? That's that happy gram that you get that says, by the way, your mortgage was $2,000 a month. You didn't pay for a year. We're now asking for full payment of $24,000. Thank you very much. Or we're going to have to go through our topic today. So there's a lot of ways that the banks are operating and a lot of ways that they're doing this, but we're starting to see this wave now. To let you know what that wave is, 2.3 million homeowners accepted forbearance during the pandemic times. Doesn't mean 2.3 are going to go into short sale, but 2.3 million accepted that forbearance. So it's kind of like this hidden pocket of things that are going to happen, and we're just seeing it rush in like waves. If you asked us 6, 8 months ago, are we going to see a wave of short sales? Many of us would say, are you crazy? We're still getting multiple offers at the start of summer, right? So this is that pocket that is coming and it's quite silent. So I think that should perk up your attention a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks. So any questions regarding that or anything else so far? Randy, anything to add?
I'm just trying to switch back to the screen here. Yeah, so since all these guys are losing we had a couple of transactions since the law firm went on a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. There where people are their payments are already higher because forbearance ended, and so they're just seeing that they can't make their payments. So many people got so far behind, and so we sent them to the law firm, and they're going to work with them. I just want to make sure that you kind of explained that. The law firm is kind of a retail sale program to help the seller work their way out of the the short sale, and they'll follow all these guidelines. When the investor comes in to try to determine if this is a property that they can help the seller, or whoever's in that short sale position get out of the property, these guys will act a little more aggressively to get some deals done or close the transactions for you guys. And there's possibly Ryan will have to explain what the financial benefits are for the agent and then for the seller too. But one of the key things that I had these guys present today, you guys, remember the law firm, if somebody's within a couple months of short sale or of the sheriff's sale, the law firm's out and it's no longer an option for your seller. So this is a huge option where, they can handle a short sale at any time during the process. So just because the sheriff's sale popped up, it's not too late with these guys. Anybody have any questions, like educational wise? Yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat room, but I'm going to let them carry the conversation. Basically, I may walk away. So you guys call me. I might not be here for a second.
All right, no problem. So in Minnesota, as you know, we have a 6-month redemption period. If the property is occupied, the bank, the lender, and their foreclosing attorney, they can petition to reduce that to 5 weeks, but it takes a long time. So like Randy was saying, the law firm, I think you've got to be about 50 to 60 days before the short sale to get your file in, have enough time to market the property, find a buyer, do all the showings, get everything in that as squared away. However, the firm we're working with, the investment firm that we're partnered with, Jim and I, we can work in the redemption period. So as long as we verify they have a 6-month redemption period, which a lot of times they do, we can negotiate during that time. So that gives us roughly about 4 to 5 months more than the alternative. So we can work maybe 2 to 3 months past the sheriff's sale, and because the folks that we have on board are amazing negotiators. Jim, I don't know if you want to talk real quick about the negotiating team we have. You've done a little bit more talking with those guys in the back office and how aggressive they are and why they're so highly qualified, I guess, to take care of this debt for people.
Yeah, sounds good. That if you want to go out there and do some research, feel free. You go to Asset Protection Consulting Group. That's the team. There's 2 guys in there, Steve and Robert Schiller. They are brothers, and they've been negotiating thousands and thousands and thousands of short sales for a long time. And what they understand today versus the way we were doing short sales back in 06, 7, 8, 9, and 10, it's a completely different world. When I was doing short sales back then versus the way the process is handled today, it's like a totally different business. So anyway, these guys became the #1 loss mitigation company in the entire country, these 2 Schiller brothers. They actually wrote the guidelines for Fannie, Freddie, and HUD on how to handle short sales in this new environment. They wrote the guidelines. So think about that. If Robert Schiller calls up the dude at Wells Fargo or the dudette at Wells Fargo and says, "Hey, we got a short sale on 123 Main Street," and they go, "Yeah, you're my guy. You're the guy that wrote these. You're the guy that I talk to every single day because we've done thousands and thousands of deals." You think they're going to cut to the chase maybe just a little bit quicker than me, an agent reaching out, or Joe, the attorney down the street who doesn't have relationships out there? So these guys have the ability to make that happen. Well, the punchline of this whole thing is we wanted the best in the world who had all the connections. So our group bought the loss mitigation company. We own it. We literally own it. So that's who's working on the team in the background to be able to handle these things. So if we're 3 weeks away from a foreclosure, we have the horsepower to do it. Full attorneys on staff, full loss mitigators on staff. And they don't just mitigate the short sale. They might be mitigating a solar lien or a tax bill or whatever it might be. They're mitigating all of those things. So powerhouse team, and that's what's given the advantage right now to us being able to do that. So
Yeah, in addition to that, you're going to get your full commissions. So those are always negotiated in, right? So your commissions are protected. Another little bit of a difference that I view as a benefit is this is great for folks who want to just completely walk away from the property and be done with it. I'm working on two right now, for instance. They've moved out of state. So these deals are in different states than where the people live, and they don't want to have anything to do with it whatsoever. So they're signing over the property. We're taking over all the responsibility and negotiating the debt. We can still offer people moving expenses, and that's a little bit on a sliding scale, either some upfront or a little on the back end. So we can still work within the same type of guidelines, that you're going to expect anywhere else where, but the difference is if they really need some moving expenses, we can get them some money right away up front, rather than, hey, let's wait 35, 45 days until this is all said and done. The other thing is you don't have to list the property, and the sellers don't, and the owners don't have to deal with all the different showings. They don't have to have the property, because a lot of people, let's be honest, if they're in a tough situation, they don't want people coming in tramping through their house if it's not looking the best. Maybe they're embarrassed. You don't necessarily have to put up a for sale sign, and they don't have to have showings. So we don't have to make this into a big training session, but if you're interested, I've got my number there, and you can just reach out, and I'll do more like one-on-one type until everything is until you kind of get the idea. But it's a very simple process. It's really been boiled down to make it very easy. In fact, the last two deals I've done, we get the deeds, we get limited power of attorney. I've never seen the house. I probably never will. And we have photos. One property is about an hour and a half north of me, and the other one's in Texas. So we can do this nationwide. But for
Ryan, can I jump
everybody,
in real quick?
yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Cooper, do you have the contact, or do we contact them through you guys? Yeah, just reach out to Ryan, and that's the easiest thing to do, because then he can link you in with all of that stuff. The other thing that I think is important is when we were on this upswing for all of these years, it was short sales just weren't even in our vocabulary, really. I mean, they're always there, just like foreclosures are always there, but they really weren't in our vocabulary because the equity was growing so fast, right? Everything was just going nuts. And all of a sudden now we look and we say, short sales, blah. Who wants to deal with short sales? They stink. They take forever. Well, our average closing happens between 45 and 60 days. What you think about that? 45 to 60 days, right? Don't forget what's going on in the background. Number one loss mitigators in the entire country are handling this, not Fred's attorney down the street or whoever it might be, or, popping in some agents never done this. And the way short sales are handled today are so much better and different than what they were in the past. They're no longer ugly and hairy and warty and terrible things, because they're happening in 45, 60 days. But I want to highlight something that Ryan said. By law, the bank has to pay you, the listing agent, your 3% commission. Think about that. You have this short sale and you go, oh, I don't know if I want to deal with the short sale. I'm not sure I want that listing. Yes, you do want that listing. You take it as fast as you can possibly get it. You call Ryan, because when we come in and buy the property, you're protected. You get paid your 3% at closing, which is 45 to 60 days. How long is it taking to sell short sales on the open market right now? Huh? Go do some research. I have. 45, 60 days, you get paid your 3% commission. You turn it over to Ryan, off you go. It's a beautiful thing. It's really a great way. And you're not doing all this paperwork shuffling and talking to the attorneys. You're not having to do all that. So it's really a great resource right now to start banking some contracts.
Yeah, and how do you find them? This is probably one of the best ways to keep in touch with the people we're all supposed to keep in touch with right now as real estate agents is just call all the people and check in on them. Hey, who do you know? I'm just checking in. I know the market's not um, doing real hot right now. Who do you know that might be having trouble making their payments? And rather than directing it at them, it's like, hey, who do you know? Who's in your circle? And then just keep your eyes and ears open. And hey, just know that I'm the resource for you. If you hear of anybody at work or at hockey or whatever, if you're coaching, like if you hear of anybody in trouble, have them reach out to me. We can have a not me but you, right, as their trusted resource, because of course there was tons of agents willing to help when the market was super hot, but where are all those people right now? So just make sure you're maybe in front of those people. And then if you want to get a little bit more aggressive, there's lists. These are very, very easy to find all over the place. There's a lot of folks that are right at the brink of one payment. If somebody loses a job or they get behind one payment, it's like a snowball effect, and there is no equity. So um, that's something we're willing to work with all of you on too, is helping. Number one, we have a credibility package. If you want to shoot me a text, just say something to the effect of credibility package. I forgot to put it on here, but I'll for sure text that back to you. We will get on the phone and help, talk to folks with you and for you. Just kind of explain the process. It's not that difficult, but sometimes new things, people want a little bit of help there. So we're willing to do that. And then we have a lot of leads. So if you're willing to call them and look them up, um, not everybody wants to get on the phones, but there's a ton of closings that a ton of listings you can start taking literally today. And these are people that everybody else is ignoring. So if you think about like the wholesalers out there and all the other agents, if there's no equity, if they're not getting paid and there's no equity for some wholesaler to assign a contract over, they're getting ignored. And quite, and most people are good enough at marketing where they're filtering these folks out, so they're not even getting a call. And the last two deals I've been working on have basically been failed investor deals. So they tried to take over the payments, and they're not able to do it, but there's no, and they've also tried to sell. So expired listings might be good, but we can filter this data down, and I can provide lists to help you get started. Now, I don't want a whole bunch of people like reaching out asking for a ton of lists, but if you're dead serious and I'm willing to help you get started and provide lists, basically the county you want to work in, and you can start going after and reaching out to folks.
Back,
I want you
back
to,
when I taught the class, I wrote the CE class on how to negotiate a short sale. And I had 4 hours of continuing education approved for it. So we had 100 agents in the class at a time. When I did the class, it was kind of like a CE, kind of a teaching, kind of career aspiration. And it quickly turned into like a resource for agents to bring in files. And so within short order, we had, well over 100 files sitting on our desk from Keller Williams agents, Remax agents, and all over, because I learned how to negotiate. So we set up a system where we had certain people out finding taking the packages in, and other people were just negotiating with the banks. And so a lot of people I watched all of a sudden start taking advantage of the opportunity. So now this is obviously a resource for you all if you have a client or somebody in your sphere of influence that's starting to fall back behind. The first transaction I did, I think, well, from the classes, was a guy that was doing new construction, and he had a lake home. And the lake home, he owed like 600 grand. I was able to get it from Wells Fargo for about 295 and sold it for 395. But that's a whole another class that we might talk about for anybody who's interested. My point is that when some of the agents started to realize how many of these files are actually out there. They started digging up these lists. I had people out taking the list and then going out and putting flyers on the doors of these homes. And then people would respond to the flyer. So, even over a decade ago, I kind of got burnt out, but I used to take all the classes on how to write an effective flyer and get somebody to call you back and things like that. Now it's a little easier than some of these gurus make it sound like. Just writing it so that somebody will call you back and ask you for help. But if anybody's interested in that, when these guys get these houses done, I mean, the average house now is over 300 grand. So our commissions are always, at 9, 10 grand on a home. If anybody is trying to look for a vertical market to go out and find more business, this is kind of like low hanging fruit because it's really easy to come across as an expert that could get this done. Somebody's just going to call and say, I haven't wanted to pull my head out of the sand, but I'm having a problem here. And now with this group, even if it's too late and they're getting close to redemption, these guys can help all the way through, maybe all the way up until, I don't know, 45 days to the end of redemption is probably getting too close.
Yeah, it's case by case, but please try to jump on them right away. Don't call me in like the last
so that they can
30
analyze
days of redemption.
the property, look at the banks, look at the equity and the debt, and decide if it's a possibility too. But anybody looking to make a vertical market and just create sales, this is completely a great opportunity if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I think those are great points. You think about this person, they're like out, this seller, they're out in the middle of the ocean and they're just floating around out there and they're not getting any help. They really aren't. And if you were to just remember, I think a lot of what we do is mental, right? If we just start thinking about, do you really want to help a short sale right now before this conversation or 2 months ago? Many people say, I'm not really sure that's where we want to go. But now when you can close it quick, get paid 3% and help that seller, it's amazing. I just learned this the other day and I'll be transparent about it. I can't believe I didn't know this. Do you realize that when a seller gets foreclosed on, not a short sale, when they get foreclosed on, they're issued a 1099 for the difference of what their loan was? It's called a deficiency judgment. So a deficiency judgment is they owe 400 and it actually closed at 300. That's a deficiency judgment, right? If that seller is foreclosed on, the bank's going to issue a 1099 to that seller for deficiency judgment. What's that mean? Take 100 grand, all of a sudden it comes over to Ryan. It's a 1099. Ryan pays taxes. That's income. A 1099 is taxes. Ryan pays income on that 100 grand. Let's say he's in a 25% tax bracket. He's got a $25,000 bill. If you really want to get granular here and talk about fiduciary, don't we have a fiduciary responsibility to the people we're working with to educate them about that deficiency judgment 1099? Of course you do. You don't want a phone call August 15th or April 15th on tax day and someone says, how come I have this income 1099 bill? I don't have $25,000 to give to the government. Now you're talking about fiduciary. Well, our loss mitigation team will do everything in their power to negotiate away that deficiency judgment. It doesn't happen 100% of the time. We can't say that, can't make that claim, but it's really, really, really high on the list because we want to tick that off. We actually want to help that homeowner to where they don't get that deficiency judgment. That's another great thing if you're out there lead generating and you're talking to these sellers, and many of them, like Randy said, they bury their head in the sand. They just kind of give up and they say, just come get my house. Good luck. Well, if they understand what happens with a deficiency judgment versus how we can step in, stop the foreclosure immediately, get this off the books in the next 2 months, imagine that relief that homeowner is feeling. So that's an education piece that you can put in your back pocket when you're talking with these people and when you're out there having dialogue with them. Who wouldn't want that help? Of course they want that help. So we're here to support all of those kinds of things as you're working through this. And Ryan will be your your right arm to make that happen.
Jim, I think you got to be careful because we're not supposed to be tax advisors and we're not supposed to be lawyers. We're supposed to be real estate agents. So I think you got to be careful how you position that, and that, it's okay to give general knowledge about those things, but you really got to be saying, hey, you need to talk to your tax advisor about that, or your attorney about that, or the attorneys and people that you're, sending those people to for that advice.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Isn't it funny? Our business is so complex, right? We're marriage counselors, we
Yep.
are attorneys, we're marketers, we're email writers, we're negotiators. But yes, Wendy, you bring up a great point, and we always want to kind of have that disclosure for sure.
I'm sure everybody has to get going. I think we got about an hour, right, Randy?
Yeah.
But I want to just reiterate one more thing here is that we're looking to help people that are upside down on their homes, of course, but that comes in a lot of different forms. So reverse mortgages are a really good thing that we can work on. I don't want to say a good thing, but it's probate. So probates can get very messy with multiple heirs. So that's a really good one. So just keep your eyes and ears open for all these different situations. And then it's always important, of course, to ask multiple questions because some people might just not know that their HVAC system that they got 4 years ago is like a $20,000 lien on their property and it's been accruing interest and stuff like that, or furniture or what have you. So um, tax liens, IRS liens, city, county taxes, or if there's long grass and they've got so all these different things that can be attached to the home. These guys are brilliant at negotiating that debt. So just keep in mind there's a lot of people out there with reverse mortgages and then they pass away and then now the kids have to deal with it and there's multiple heirs and all that kind of so the messy situations are actually right in their wheelhouse. So any rate, I got all my contact info there. And like I said, if you're looking to get started and you want leads, reach out. And that was kind of the secret sauce I was going to give away. So anything else?
I don't have anything else. I guess, if anybody calls me, I know enough about it, but you can also just circumvent me and ask Ryan if he thinks it's something you should take a look at.
Yeah.
If you're going to sign any representation paperwork on one, I don't know what step of this phase you actually do that working with this group. I know that when we work with the law firm, you'll basically sign them up as a regular listing, and then the law firm has you going back and forth, listing the house and pricing it accordingly throughout the process. So,
Yeah.
Do they sign any representation paperwork with the seller or the person in trouble with you guys? Is there a need to? Or how do they secure?
They list the home up front, right, Jim?
Yeah, you, the agent, would list that home up front, just like you'd list any regular home. And then as soon as you know that they're underwater, reach out to Ryan and we can see where that seller is. We have a few questions for you and for them to see where they are in the process and how well they qualify. Most of them do. So yeah, just list it like you would a normal house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then we have the buyer in the back pocket if it qualifies, and we can help out with the underwriting. It's good to have these underwritten up front so we can kind of go through that on a quick phone call, kind of get the idea. And I'll be completely transparent. If we can't do anything with it, it's like, do this, I'll give suggestions or whatever.
So you're saying that there's no reason to keep it off the market. They can list it as normal and try to get a hold of your group right up front to see if there's a buyer that's ready to go. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I would say at the same time. So if you're out at somebody's house and you get the listing paperwork, but maybe have a withhold in there, right? And then if you know it's an upside down type situation, call right away, and then we can take a look at it. Or if it's something that's coming up, then we can go through we can underwrite it and help you talk through it before you get out there. So I would say just reach out, with any questions because everything's kind of moving.
Yeah, sure. So this is a potential kind of like a guaranteed sale possibly, but the guys have to look at it first. They might rehab the house or whichever after they purchase it. That's not doesn't matter anymore to us as long as we sell it and help the seller out, right? We have to clear tax liens and things like that. So
Yep.
yeah,
And if you're interested in any marketing, give me a holler too. I've got some good, like, I don't know, buzzwords, I guess I would say that will help. You
you don't
know,
have time to pull that credibility package up, do you?
what's the website, Jim? You want to just pop that in there?
Yeah, let me just copy it real quick. Whoops.
If anybody knows how to do the screen share. So let's see, the law firm. Well, Grace is asking, are you a law firm and what is the name of the company? Well, the Schillers are negotiating. They kind of wrote a
There it
book
is.
with some HUD rules back about what 15 to 20 years ago. And so these guys understanding the whole process, started up beside a business where they're negotiating short sales because they know
So we
it
are
makes a
not a
big
law
deal.
firm. They are not a law firm. They have attorneys, however, on their staff that help with the short sales. So,
Yep.
and then they've got basically the top people at all the banks that make the decision as far as mitigating debt. They have them on speed dial. So it's kind of like who's got the best contacts in this business.
Yep.
And rather than doing the whole dance, sometimes we can cut straight to the chase and you know get it accomplished a lot quicker. So um yeah, anything
Any other
else?
questions? Anyone else?
No, but I could actually pull this link up and share my screen. Um, but everybody got that link out of the chat box?
Asset Protection Group. I'm sorry, Asset Protection Consulting Group.
Yeah, I pulled it up on a screen I could share, but it's just
It's not
it's
letting
just the
me open.
background of the managing partners. Um, shows that on there. I think the
Yeah,
best thing to
that's
do is call Ryan and have him take the scenario to them to let them decide if it's something they can work with. Yeah.
Yeah. Please don't try to contact them directly. They'll,
I'll
they'll,
add and let these
they'll get
guys,
upset.
if Jim or Ryan want to think of anything else they can add, but just so everybody knows, those association dues are they're starting to collect for 2025 dues right now. I keep getting questions. I just posted one on Facebook that I think after December 1st they become late and they start charging like $25, and then at the end of December they charge more. So always also remember there's some optional things to pay in there. I think there's either $50 or $75 of donations. A lot of people will just click the button and pay their dues, but there's a couple things that are optional, so you can save yourself $50 or $75 if you don't want to contribute. And then I wrote on a thing that just so everybody understands, if you're part of North Star MLS here around the Twin Cities, Alexandria, St. Cloud, Rochester, we were born in St. Paul, NRG was, so that's our primary, and that handled the dues for North Star MLS. Then you can join your local association, probably closest to your home, so you can take advantage of CE or their barbecues or electronic lock boxes are nearby. And then everybody becomes a member of the state and the national associations as part of your dues. So just because you live over in Minneapolis and we pay North Star MLS dues to St. Paul doesn't mean you can't join Minneapolis Association or St. Cloud or whichever. I did just remember, oh no, I had a question for Ryan. It just slipped my mind. Too much information at once. So I'll have to pass on that unless it pops up.
Regarding
another cup of
short
coffee.
sales. Yeah. Was it
You
regarding?
guys have any next level training that you have considered offering regarding investment type side of the short sale industry, or you don't have anything put together yet, right?
Regarding what do you mean?
Oh, well, investors that buy the properties. Is that anything you plan on talking about in the future, or is there nothing organized?
As far as somebody getting involved in that
In the
side,
transaction.
yeah. I mean, that's, I think, case by case. So if you're identified a property that you want to buy, you can do that too. If you want
Let's
to
have a side
invest,
conversation and maybe we can put together something to roll out professionally. That way we're
yeah,
not scattered around information.
yeah. Give me a
Anybody,
call
no
later.
questions? I think the chat box, let me run through there quick.
Yeah, it looks pretty clean.
Good. Yeah, so Ryan's number is in there. If anybody thinks of anything, either call Ryan or just send me a text or a message too. I'll point you in the right direction. Now, I did have somebody on here that said, I thought the meeting started at 10 and we had this at 9:30 because we ran a poll and about 2/3 of everybody wanted to start at 10 and a third wanted to start at 9. I hope 9:30 makes sense for everybody. Typically I think we're going to try to get our meetings off at 9:30 so it's just not too late.
Oh yeah, my bad. I thought we started at 9 for some reason. I thought we were way over. So we're
Wanted to
well
give
with
on
under
time.
well with under an hour. Okay.
That's kind of what's posted everywhere. I was sitting on at 9 o'clock.
You were okay. Let me double check our emails that Jeremy's been sending out. Well, we had that shift of
Jeremy's email said 9:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just so everyone knows.
We appreciate everybody jumping on, and anybody has any questions, again, reach out. I guess instead of just dragging this out, if anybody has anything to add, go ahead quick. Otherwise, we'll just end the meeting here in about 60 seconds or something. Good to see anybody who turned their video on. I mean, I don't understand. I turned mine off most of the time too, so good to see anybody's name on here. I guess everybody have a good week.
Get out and vote.
Already done. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys.